Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another week here at Wired Differently. We have me, Christina Blue Hooper, your business designer, mindset Melanie Branch, your expert at getting your brain tamed so you can do what you need to do every day, and Victoria, the Queen D. Caldwell, your fractional COO and expert in all things people systems. We have a really good episode today, and I think this one is really timely given the state of the world at the moment. Being able to build an impact-driven business without burning out, right? So let's open the door with what is an impact driven business. And I know I'm going to put Queen Bee here on the spot just a scooch because she helps entrepreneurs clarify their mission, their vision, their values, and integrate that in through their business. So Victoria, what does it mean to you? What is an impact driven business?
Well, simply put, the clients that I work with, they are very heart driven. They want to help as many people as possible. So they're here to change lives. They're here to, when we say create impact, they're here to put a dent in the society. They see something wrong and they want to fix it, or they see something that they can help with, but they also want to help as many people as possible. So that impact comes from when they're trying to scale the business to help as many people, not to take from, but to give to.
Ooh, that's a good little quote right there. Not to take from, but to give to.
Right.
Oh, I like that.
So
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Because there are businesses out there that are trying to grow and they might say, but they're doing more taking than they are giving.
Yeah. And we all can probably name 10 of those off the top of our head that we've seen in our social media feeds just today, probably.
Yes, exactly.
What about you, Melanie? Do you have anything to add to that? What does it mean to you?
As my light goes out. Sorry, guys. I would just agree with Victoria that it's, we're looking at the healers and the service providers and the people who realize that they have a special skill that they want to share with others so that others don't ever have to go through that major life-altering problem that they've gone through. So every person that you touch, whether it's with your content, whether it's with your actual offer and your program, they turn into, a shining testimonial case study, if you will, who is super duper happy with their results. Impact driven, we could also replace it with results driven.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very true. Very true. I would say probably the only thing that I would add to it, and this is something that Victoria's really worked with me on and kind of taught me over the last year or so, is it's not just impact for the clients that you serve, it's impact for the staff that you hire.
Yeah.
And really thinking about, like, we think as entrepreneurs, we hear all, the mindset work that we need to do and how important it is for us to be in flow and to do what we need to do. But we don't necessarily think to apply that to our staff or to apply that to our clients. Like, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and the company that he was working with to help him with the social media was forcing him into their paradigm, and it didn't fit him.
Yeah.
Right. So they were taking him out of flow and out of what he's doing to force him into doing what they want to do. And I was like, well, why don't we just build it up around what you like to do, what works for you, and then build up a system around that instead. Right. That's what impact is to me. It's from a system, from a business design standpoint, is designing the systems in your business to create that impact and support it, even if you're not thinking about it in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you made a very good point, which a lot of entrepreneurs miss, is it has to, people who like us, who are heart-centered, we tend to neglect us in the process. And so we want to give the impact, and we want to give, and we want to help, and we want to serve, and then we're the last person on the list. So we have to learn to, as you said, build the business and build it around what's sustainable. I talk about high performance, but I talk about sustainable high performance, for the team, for the leader, for the business. If it's not sustainable, to me, it's not high performing, because you eventually burn out. I was reading your email the other day, Mel, and you mentioned that in the email. I read your emails. Yes, I do. They're very good, by the way. And you're going to burn out. Like, how is that high performance?
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy a car and call it a high performance car if it's going to stall out and burn out after a certain amount of time,
I mean, we can use the car metaphor all day because it's the perfect representation. Listen, if you drive a car 100 miles an hour every time you get in it, whether you're going to the corner store or you're going down 95, and you never put oil in it, you never change the tires, you never get it washed, you don't clean out the inside, you don't do anything to it, that car isn't going to work.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with us.
Well, and we tend to think about it with other people too, right? So we'll think about it with our kids. We'll think about it with our husbands. We'll think about it with our clients. Like, let's make sure we don't overload them. Let's make sure we consider their needs. Let's make sure that we don't ask them to do too many things in one day, because that's going to be overwhelming. And we think about it with everybody else, but we just don't turn that lens around and think about it for ourselves, especially as heart-centered entrepreneurs. So we had this question in here. How do we actually prevent that, right? We care about people. We want to make an impact. We want to get those results. We want to think about our staff. We want to think about ourselves. We want to think about our clients. That in and of itself is exhausting, but it's our default setting.
Yeah.
Right. So Melanie, let's tag you in to jump in on this one. Like, we care about everybody and we want to help. How do we prevent that burnout and put those guardrails up so that we can do it the right way?
I had a conversation with my kids and my husband back in 2020, I want to say. So the height of my spiritual awakening. Mom had just died. The world was shut down. Everything was upside down. And we were coming out of that fog. And I just sat them down at the dinner table and I said, listen, I am so happy to help you whenever you need my assistance, but it's no longer my responsibility to read your mind and know when that is. So instead of me spending all of my time sitting here going, I hope they have a good day at work. I hope they have a good day at school. I hope they have everything they need. I hope, what can I do? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take care of myself so that when you need me, and you say, hey, wife, or hey, mom, I need your help, I will be able to do whatever you need. But I can't run all of those apps open in my brain of trying to read your mind, trying to anticipate your needs, trying to figure all this out. You got to know what you need and then come to me and say, hey, I need your help. It's not my responsibility to figure out what the fuck you need. This is your life, not mine.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't happen automatically either. And I think this is something that I don't know why, and I'm guilty of it as well. When we think about mindset work and we learn that, like, oh, this is simple. I can set this boundary. This is what I can do. I can go have this conversation with my kids. And now magically it's just going to work that way. Right. Yeah. Of course, like overnight, now that we've made that decision, it's just poof.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what does that process look like? What is that? Because it's going to fall off the rails, right? We're not just going to like declare that this is how things are now, magic wand and poof.
Yeah. You got to check in with yourself. You got to say, how does this person make me feel? We were just talking about this on my live. If you're hanging out with a friend or a family member even, and they say to you after that hangout session, God, I always feel so much better after I spend time with you. That person is using you for your energy. Stop it. What a real friend or a real loving family member would say is, I love spending time with you. So pay attention to how the people in your life really make you feel. And it's going to be hard at first because you don't want to believe that your parent or your sibling or your aunt or your uncle or whoever you're close to is basically using you for nefarious reasons. They might not even really be cognizant of the fact that that's what they're doing. But you are the magic. That was the biggest realization I ever made in all of my relationships when I was like, why doesn't everybody step up and do all the things that I do? It's because they're not the magic. I am. So I have to protect my magic. I got to take my shower. I have to have my nighttime routine. I have to fuel my body with food that both supplies instant dopamine, little sweet, crunchy things. There's nothing wrong with that. But also gives me the extended release dopamine, meaning high protein and satiating. I got to figure out what I need. And by figuring out what I need and making that an experiment, your kids and your partner and your spouse, they'll all be like, oh, you're getting really good results. What are you doing? And they'll start modeling the behavior that you're doing. But you can't sit here and say, you need to do this and you need to do that. You got to go figure out your own shit. And when you start getting results and you start building momentum, everybody else is going to be motivated to do the same thing.
Right. I love that answer because you didn't come with, well, you can help support them as they learn to depend on you less and because that's
how you got in this mess in the first place, was thinking you got to do everything for everybody else. If they are not in diapers anymore, you don't need to wipe their ass. They can go through their life. They can go through problems with their friends because the problems and the challenges are the story, right? And like every show, every movie revolved around a character going through strife. we never get to manifest a life that doesn't have problems, right? I would like the problems to become champagne problems. That's absolutely the goal in the end, but it's not problem free. And the problems and the challenges are what make you who you are.
Yeah. Well, and that carries over into our businesses too, right? And this is something that you've both drilled into me too, that, you know, even though I'm on a mission to help minimize and prevent the preventable potholes, right? We see every entrepreneur go through, we see their backstories. They all have the same points where they fall off the rails and things go sideways. And it's like, why does everybody have to go that far? And they don't, but they do have to go a little ways.
Exactly.
Because they won't listen. Right. It doesn't click. And, you know, I just experienced this with a student on campus the other day, because I was telling her when she started building her SOPs, I was like, preventable potholes for you to watch out for. You're going to get comfortable with your SOP when you've ran it enough times, and you're going to stop opening it, and you're going to stop clicking every checkbox, and you're going to stop following it. Things are going to start to go wrong. The process is going to start to get more stressful. And if you maintain that, you're going to quit updating your SOP, and you're just going to be doing it off the top of your head again. And then when you go to hire somebody to do that for you, they're going to be doing what you did a year ago instead of what you're doing now. And that's going to be frustrating for you. And I told her all this when we started building SOPs. And then what happened this week when we started looking at it, she was already making mistakes. She's like, I don't know why I did that. And I was like, did you open it up and go through your checklist? Did you use your SOP, or did you do it off the top of your brain? She goes, yeah, I did it off the top of my brain. That's how that happened. And she'd actually overwritten her entire template. So she had lost like a big chunk of her SOP because she wasn't following her SOP. She actually overwrote it. Thankfully, Google Docs keeps revision. So anybody in the audience that's ever done that, Google Docs has revision history. You can roll it back, and I walked her through doing it. But like, she had to do that before everything else I said made sense.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, so we were able to prevent the fall all the way, but I still had to let her fall part of the way for the lesson to be learned. Right. So
and
even as
we do this all the time. And that's where the growth is. Like, you know, even when working with teams, it's and you're parents. I'm not a parent directly, but working with teens and team members, you got to let them fall a little bit, because you're going to tell them, but they're not going to get it until they actually do it. And then it's like, oh, now you tell them, you explain it to them, and you go and let them do and watch it. You know what's coming.
Yeah.
But the thing is, support is being there for them to say, okay, now you understand. And then that's how they learn, and that's how they grow. And then they'll just do it again on something else. And how many times have we done that ourselves?
Well, I mean, from a service provider perspective, as a coach, if I tell one of my clients, hey, you're headed for XYZ, and they say, oh, okay, and they don't really take me seriously, and then XYZ happens, now they're really going to value what I tell them moving forward, because they know, A, I've been through it. It makes you an oracle of sorts, right? When you're like, oh, hey, like, this is why we all think 20-year-old girls and 20-year-old boys are just silly, because we've been 20-year-old girls. Like, we know what's important to them. We know what's on their mind. We know what their challenges are. We know what their goals are. So, you know, to an extent, the more that you can go through on your own, the more wisdom you can impart on others. But again, you got to let them fall a little bit, or they're just not going to value it, right? You don't value the education until you're the one paying for it.
Exactly. Like one of my clients told me years ago, and he was so frustrating. And I kept saying, we don't want to go this way. That was back when I was doing SEO. We don't want to do this way. We don't want to do, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. Well, I'm okay with that. And then when it happened, he said, Victoria, what do I do? I said, you need to start listening to me. He said, I agree.
Yeah.
He said, I agree. I think I need to start listening to you. I said, I'm not telling you to do something that I don't already know. That's why you're paying me. I said, but you're paying me, and you're paying me to tell you and to help you and to support you. But then when you don't listen, now you got to pay, and you got to take twice or three times as long and start right from the beginning and go right back up this hill. And I said, this is what I'm trying to prevent for you, but I can't make you not do it. And then at that point, it's like, okay, whatever you say at that point is like, okay, instead of fighting me on it, they were like, okay, well, well, wouldn't this be the case? Or why do you think that? And I will tell them. And then they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I love how, like, when we talk about preventing burnout and still, being true to yourself and wanting to help people, I love what we just did. We talked about yourself and taking care of yourself. We talked about family and friends, and relationships have nothing to do with business, right? We talked about your staff. We talked about your clients. Right? And all of this is so super important. It treats the whole person, right? You are a whole person. We're not just talking about who you are when you're at business. We're talking about who you are when you're away from business too, because if your home life and your stuff happening over there is stressing you out, you're going to bring that to business, and vice versa. If you're stressing out in your business world, you're going to bring that home.
Yeah.
So we have to set those boundaries in both cases. Now, we've talked a lot about how to handle the people that we want in our lives and that we can help and that we can have an impact for. But I think one of the more painful things as a heart-centered entrepreneur is the people that you can help but you shouldn't, and the people that you can't help and you need to say no to. Right? And it's like, can help and shouldn't is you're not equipped to work with this person at this stage. And I love using Melanie as an example here because I think she's really easy to understand when it comes to this. There are some people, she's helping people with mindset, right? She's helping people get their head on straight, make decisions, live better, find more joy, et cetera, et cetera. But there are people who are at a stage where they need therapy, not mindset work. Now, Melanie could help. There's aspects of that she can help with, but she shouldn't, because what they need is this other person over here. And I think we have a tendency sometimes to say yes when we should say no. And it's because we're afraid to just say, like, I can help you, but I'm going to have to let you go figure this out on your own, right? Like, that's one of the biggest things we're afraid of doing is I'm just going to say no to you and you're going to get over here and bad things are going to happen. So let me hold on to you for a little bit. I know me and Victoria run into this even in like marketing and things along those lines, because we both used to be marketers. We can help. Well, you still do some marketing, yes, but you're moving more into the second in command realm, and you're not doing as much of the type of marketing we used to do.
Oh no, not that.
Right, like the SEO and the like.
Well, you guys do that now because marketing is never the problem. Your potential clients come to you and they say, "Oh, well, social media isn't doing what it needs to, and this isn't." But it's a business operational problem. It's a business design problem. There's something going wrong. There's a breakdown in communication or in the structure somewhere. So they think it's marketing. They always think it's marketing. But you guys realized you were better suited for these other areas. Marketing was the, what do you call it? The segue, the foot in the door.
Yeah, they reach out to us for marketing, and that lets us get in. Like, people reach out to me with a messaging problem, and it's like, you don't have a messaging problem. You don't like what you're trying to sell. So you can't get your language right about it because you're secretly hoping they won't buy it, right? Mm-hmm. But we tend to take those clients on again still, partially because we know we can get them to this solution, but partially because we don't have anybody else that we know we could trust or recommend to send them to. And we've talked about this endlessly. Me and Victoria have. I'm like, how do we solve that problem? How do we find someone that we feel comfortable so that we can be in our space, so that we can do the work that we like to do and the part of it that we like to do. Like, let's fix this part and let's let this other person handle this part. And that's going to lead into one of our next questions here. Having these partnerships to build successful impact-driven businesses, because that's the key to being able to say no when you shouldn't take somebody, even if you can help, saying no and sending them over here, being like, I could help you a little bit, but I think the better option is that you go talk to this person. And then when you get this far, we'll do this, or let me help you this far of the way. And then let me send you over here.
Yeah. Right? And that's how I came to meet both of you, because I was looking for that partner to do what you do.
Yeah.
Because I can't do what you do. I don't need to be doing what you do.
Well, and I think that's the bigger part of it. I don't need to. Right. And I love picking on the mindset stuff again, because how many coaches and consultants do we see that are creating courses, that are creating masterminds, and they've wised up to they need to incorporate something mindset in there, because if they don't, they can't get people to buy, they can't get people to take action, they can't get them. So they've started taking what they learned from their mindset coaches and trying to reteach it over into their people. and it just doesn't work as well. And it puts like, I'm not a mindset coach. Can I tell you and parrot some of the things that Melanie's shared with me that helped me? Of course. But what I don't know is all of Melanie's expertise, that the things she told me work for me were for me.
Yeah.
She may tell somebody else to do something completely different. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and they said one of the best tricks they ever learned was eat the frog. Do the hardest task first. And for some people, she's neurodivergent. For some people, it works for her. Does not work for me. It works way better if I like spend 20, 30 minutes playing my game when I first sit at my computer, because that gets me excited to sit at my computer, than it does for me to take the hardest, most dreadful task on my list and make it the first thing I'm planning to do. Because now, what am I going to do? I'm going to practice productive procrastination, and my dishes are going to get done. Cat litter's going to get done. Vacuum's going to get ran. I'm going to do everything but sit at my computer.
Yeah.
Right. So when Melanie tells me to just the tip is my strategy, somebody else, she may say, eat the frog, because that is their strategy.
Exactly.
So if I only parrot what I learned from my coach and try and impart that to all of my clients, it's not going to help them the same way as saying, hey, you should also talk to Melanie.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. A lot of it, I know that I do not really like networking in the general sense of the word. I feel like it's very disingenuous to go into a room full of people where we're all just trying to figure out how we can profit off each other. So if you shift into, I want to meet as many people as possible so that I have these recommendations to make, right? So, you know, I've brought a nutritionist who specializes in neurodivergent people over to the academy, and we're going to get them into the mentorship program. I brought somebody who I've known for many, many years, who's an expert in, what do we want to call it? Non-conventional investments and whatnot, right? Like perfect for neurodivergent women who are building
credit repair and entry stage real estate investments.
Yeah, like I know all these people, but I don't know exactly what their offer is right now. I don't know exactly what it is that they're pushing right now. I know a lot of therapists, and I know who they aim who their target market is. So again, if somebody comes to me and I can't help them, I can tell them who to go to, because I've met all of these people. But a lot of it is relationship development. You've got to be willing to cultivate, how's everything going? How are the kids? How's business? All that sort of stuff. Like I have questions that I go through when I reach out to somebody on Instagram that I've worked with in the past or anything like that, because people do want to talk about themselves and people do want to feel connected. So it's important to keep those connections alive and keep them growing, right? If you see somebody post about their vacation on Instagram and you know them, you're like, oh my God, that looks incredible. Let's catch up when you get back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Relationships. So talking to humans.
Yeah, talking to humans. We keep always circling back to that in every episode, that talking to humans is the cheat code.
Yeah. And for somebody like me and Melanie, that's like easy. That's like,
how many times did you get moved around in your classes growing up because you would just talk to whoever was there?
I don't even remember.
Oh, not me. I was always in the front of the room, like taking notes and not talking to a single person.
I know.
I didn't like being in the back of the room, because that's where you guys were talking while the teacher was trying to teach.
I
got notes for talking too much or talking and stuff like that. But
oh man, my teachers would refer me to the guidance counselor because they were afraid I wasn't socializing and making friends enough. So I got notes for not socializing enough, and it concerned the teachers.
my biology teacher in sophomore year of high school called me out in front of the whole classroom because I used to sit in the middle. So I was right in the middle of the whole, where all the desks are. There's 5 rows. There's 10. I was always in the middle. He said, "Oh no, we talk about you in the teacher's lounge. We know you sit in the middle of every single one of your classrooms." And I was like, "You talk about me in the teacher's lounge?" Like I totally heard the wrong part of the message.
See, I was the one that even when they would do the group projects, the teacher would sometimes have mercy on me and let me be the teacher's assistant.
Yeah.
While everybody else got into groups. And so I hung out with the teacher.
Not me.
That was my favorite. If I could help the teacher while everybody else was doing the group projects, and I could go hand stuff out to people and make sure they had what they needed and go collect the papers, like that was I was on cloud 9. right? So I have to have systems and stuff to do it. So you can people, even if you're not a people-y person like these two are. It is doable. I do have very good relationships with people. We're literally building out the whole mentorship program at the Academy. I am like glowing like it, because it's one of the coolest things that we've ever done.
So
and
much fun.
It solves it so many ways, right? Because we're sitting here talking about building out these partnerships with other people, but also as a person who needs a lot of these things, you have to go find them, right? You have to go find these like 10, 12, 13, 15 people that you need in order to get where you're trying to go. And we're doing that for you.
Yes.
Which is so cool. I mean, we've got the three of us, obviously, and we've talked about what all we do, but we've just recently added somebody who does like business processes and exit planning, right? So actually getting you off the line and getting you into your flow state and setting up your systems and processes so you can do that. We added that person. We have somebody who helps you with sales strategy so that you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing to close the sales, doing it in an ethical way. And all of these people follow all the things that we've been telling you, these heart-centric stuff, actually care about people, getting in, doing, they all do that, right? So we've got the salesperson. We got somebody who helps you with client fulfillment, and training your clients to respect your boundaries is a big part of what she does. Yeah, establish them and then train your clients to use them, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm talking with some other mentors.
Build the processes around that.
Yep.
So your processes are built around your boundaries.
Yeah.
Yep. And I just added our marketing mentor. She literally has a framework that MAGIC is an acronym that it stands for that helps you with your marketing, making data-backed decisions so you're not guessing and second guessing and third guessing and quadruple guessing every decision that you make. So you're actually looking at your numbers and data and building up stuff that works for you. So we got her. I'm talking with somebody today that does nutrition for Neuro-Spicy entrepreneurs. Melanie's talking with somebody, like we said earlier, that does the credit repair and being able to start doing real estate investing, even on a low budget. Like she's got people doing investing with just like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, like a very affordable starting points, which is amazing. Talking with a bookkeeper today. So we've got somebody who can answer like financial questions. How do you get your financial stuff going? Like you need all of that. And like we're on the hunt for, I think Melanie's looking for or is already talking to somebody that does like fitness for bendy people, right? So we're looking at the whole you and gathering everybody that you need in one spot for $195 a month. Like come on, right? Having access to all those people alone is amazing.
Yes.
So I'm loving what we're building out, and I've been able to talk to everybody. It's super exciting. We're actually going to have them all in one spot tomorrow for the New Year's planning party. So head over to our website, neurospicyacademy.com/party, and go sign up for that. So we're not only going to help you plan your new year in a way that's actually sustainable, helpful, especially if you tried to do it at the beginning of the month and you're already falling off the bandwagon for whatever you said you're going to do. That's why we wait until later in January to do annual planning. So we'll be doing that tomorrow at noon, and all of our new mentors will be there as well. So you guys can come and meet them, network around. We're going to do like an hour and a half planning, 30 minutes networking, so you can run around and talk to everybody. So definitely come check that out. So that's my little like mid-show commercial break here for just a second.
You might want to post the link somewhere.
Yes, I put it in here. Boop-doop. I came prepared. Right. So it's, I don't know. I'm really excited about it because I've never seen anything like that. I've seen people get together, 2, 3, 4 entrepreneurs and kind of do something, and they're not very aligned. They're just all kind of like talking their own thing in the same space instead of trying to figure out how do we create that journey.
You know, I want to say something because we were talking about mission. You know, I was harping on you earlier about mission, vision, values, and why it was important. You're like, I just never seen no reason why it was so important. And a lot of entrepreneurs do that. But I'm picking on
me,
right.
Never.
And yeah. And so now with all of these mentors coming on board and partners and mentors coming on board, they love exactly that. That's what makes them align. That's what makes them so good for the Academy, because we're all rowing in the same direction. We're all striving for the same thing. It's not just ours, it's theirs. They love it, they buy into it, but that's it. That's what they're here for. and they are living out their mission through their part of that is being a mentor in the academy and supporting.
Yeah.
But without that, it's a much harder, that's how you get the right people, whether it's partners, the team members, because now they bring their whole heart to it. It's not just about you, it's about them. It's what they want. So when they come on board, you're like, I don't even have everything together yet. They don't care.
Yeah. Well, and it's like everybody that I've met with, I'm like, we're still small, we're growing, we have ambitious goals for this year. And I was like, you're not going to make like a lot of money off of this for a while, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And they're like 100%, this is a passion project. This is something that sounds like something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I couldn't figure out how to do it myself.
Exactly.
Right. And it's like, I heard that from every single mentor, and they're like, it is so awesome to be here while it's smaller and be able to help build up these systems and build up these curriculums and build up the stuff to do what we need to do. And I think that's, those partnerships like that are so valuable to you as an entrepreneur, and they're valuable to your clients, and they're valuable to your staff. And it lets you, and I'm going to pop this question up here. It lets you stay in your lane. And so many good things can happen when you stay in your lane. Right. And I know Victoria talks about this in terms of like staying in flow. Melanie talks about this in terms of like avoiding burnout and being able to actually live your most authentic self and to, really be happy with what you're doing. And I talk about it as crucial for your business to be sustainable, scalable, and successful.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be really good at what you do, because a lot goes into delivering a service effectively. Right. Whatever you're going to do, coaching, courses, done for you services, done with you services, whatever you're doing, there's so much that goes into it. And I think people undervalue this. Like, you have to get your messaging and your marketing good, so you have a consistent stream of leads. You have to have your sales processes in place so you can close the right leads into paying, clients. You have to be able to deliver with excellence on exactly the promise that you made in the time frame that you promised you would do it in, and be able to have those good communication processes, be able to hire staff so you can scale your impact. Like, there is a lot that goes into delivering one service the right way. And if you're going to try and be everything for everybody, you're going to have a product stack of 10, 20 things, and trying to figure out how to set all of that up for all of them, it's not going to work, right? You have to narrow it down. You have to be the expert in your niche. You have to stay in your lane, and you have to just get that one.
You're always going to undersell yourself too if you do that. If you lead by, I don't want to niche down because I want to help everybody and I have all these things that I can do to help people, then you're always going to be desperate for clients because you can't please everyone. And you're always going to be lowering your prices and offering, a discount and this and that, because you have people that come into you that have a sob story and they need your help and la, la, la. Okay, well, I normally charge $5,000 for this, but for you, I'll do it for $2,500. And then that's the recipe for burnout. I have one client who's going through this right now. I was like, okay, so you can do makeup, you can do hair, you can do bridal, you can do photo shoots, you can do all this stuff, but do you really like dealing with brides? And people on their wedding day go, not really. And I said, okay, but do you really like dealing with people who are in business and need to invest in a real branding photo shoot, and you can teach them things and you can really create a big impact? And he's intuitive too. Yes, it's a boy. Listen to me. But he's LGBTQI+. That's why he passes the vibe check. And I was on his vision board for 2 years. He had my name on his vision board under business manager and was finally able to hire me, or business coach. So I'm very excited about it. Anyways, I said, listen, bud, if you only want to do branding photography, you got to create a couple offers that are only branding photography. You did 8 years plus in, makeup for weddings and all this other kind of stuff. You did your time. It's okay. Now you can move forward with what it is that you really want to do, and you can offer a service without discounting yourself. But you know what everybody's realizing? You cannot out-strategize a bad mindset. Doesn't matter what systems and processes you put in play. If you don't believe that you deserve to charge more money than you're charging right now, you're never going to make it.
Yeah, that's why my very first partner in the academy was Melanie. Because mindset is crucial. I would help people plan out exactly this path. And I know from my experience, 18 years doing this, if they will follow this path, it's going to work out. I have a 90% confidence rate, but I couldn't even get them to take the first step because it was big. It was learning to say no to people that they, could say yes to. right? It's easy to say no to people that we can't say yes to. That's pretty easy. Like, no, I can't help you change the oil in your car.
Yeah.
Thank you, right? Like, no, not going to happen. But I could help you do this thing or that thing, right? And I couldn't get them past that. I mean, like you just said. And who do you want to hire? If I'm hiring somebody to do my brand photos, do I want to hire somebody who's dedicated to that and who's gotten really good at it and has a track record of success and a portfolio of that? Or do I want to hire somebody who's got like one brand photo thing in his portfolio plus like 10 wedding things plus like no, I want somebody who understands branding, who understands what I'm trying to accomplish, who understands how I'm going to use my photos and the message that I need to convey and what I want people to feel when they see photos of me. I want to hire somebody who gets that. And if that guy never niches down, he's always going to be a generalist. Somebody who's like, I just want the cheapest person to take some photos for me. Right? Because there's two buyers in that scenario.
Right.
There's the one who wants someone who's going to help and educate. And then there's the one who's like, I just need photos. I want them as cheap as possible. And I want to make sure I get the rights to them. So let me go.
And that's who we always dealt with. He always dealt with people that were like, okay, well, I need you to make 1,000 edits and I need you to stay up all night and doing all this. And I said, listen, if you charge people pennies, you attract people that nickel and dime you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you have to position yourself as that expert. You have to position yourself as the person who comes with receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, even with me, like, I mean, I just got to the burnout because I just wanted to help so many people. And then I'm like, the thing is, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it because you're not really helping.
Yeah.
You're not really helping. You're burning yourself out. And then you become resentful and you know you're the problem. You know you're the problem because you sabotage yourself. You're like, why did I do that again? Because you want to help, but then you haven't learned to set boundaries yourself. And I did a sales call. I like to call it a consult or whatever, because, you know, it was so much fun the other day. And I think that was the first call that I did where I didn't feel any kind of like anything. I stated, this is what I have. This is what I can offer. This is the price. And there was absolutely zero feelings, like negative, whatever feelings around it. It was just what it is. It was very confident. It was very like, okay, this is what we can do. And it felt really good because I know at that stage I can help. I know that at that stage I can pour in. And I'm like, I don't take on a lot because I'm very high touch, low volume.
Yes. So, write it down.
And that's just what it is. But there are other options. Now, this person told me, and going back to what we were talking about before, because it was relevant when we were talking about mindset, we were talking about his ideal clients a little bit. And he was talking about, because of what he sells, it attracts a lot of people who have a victim mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And you said you can't out strategize a bad mindset, right?
Yeah.
So it really, he was talking about it like so many of them that they get referred from other like government agencies or whatever, and they come in like they get it paid for them, so they don't come in with the mindset to do the work. And then they got all kind of problems and all kind of excuses. And it's like somebody is paying $4,000 for you to get licensed so you can build your own business or make your own money. And you got every excuse in the book, and you got baby mama drama and baby daddy drama and all of this going on. And you're not showing up to do the work. Whereas certain people show up, they come, they're disciplined, they do the work. So he knew. And I said, you know what? And he said, even the agencies are starting to realize and get hip to this because they realize now they're starting to make you pay for part of it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't invest something, then what happens? They don't take it seriously. And that mindset of somebody owes me something, it's one thing to need help. It's another thing to think that the whole world owes you something and you're fine and you're capable. That's not okay. But when you bring that mindset in, it was like, okay, well, we'll just build campaigns that repel those people. And it doesn't mean we have to talk about it. We'll talk about things that we know that they're not going to want to do.
Yeah.
Like work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the thing. When you start being an expert in your space, you start noticing trends. You start being able to specialize. You start being able to scare away the right people, attract the right people, set up the right barriers. Yeah.
Remember how I started the thing? They suck the life out of you, and now you're spending so much time on them. They take forever to get through the program, and now you're too tired to work with the people that you actually want to work with.
Yeah.
No. So I said, what we can do, I said, we'll get it to the point. We'll work on getting it to the point to where they get on the wait list.
Yeah.
And they only get through maybe. But you have to have specific criteria before you take them on. Otherwise, and you can do that to the agencies as well. You have specific criteria that they have to go through before they even qualify to get through, because you'll have a wait list.
Yeah.
Now that makes you even more desirable. But at the same time, you're not spending your time on people that's just wasting your time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this episode is an example of that. We're sitting here talking about impact-driven businesses. Our target best fit entrepreneur for the Academy is somebody who is heart-centric and desires to run an impact-driven business. Now, these other businesses that are not impact-driven, that just offer a service like the photography at like the cheapest price or whatever, they exist. And some people run them and they don't burn out and it works great for them. That's a different type of entrepreneur. That is somebody who can just sit here, take money, do the job, clock out, go home. Right. Yeah. And not take the drama of work home with them. Right. When we're talking about people like all of us and the mentors and our students at the Academy, these are people who are going to take it personal. Yep. Who are going to take it home with them. Right. Mm-hmm. They can't run those businesses. So it's not that business model doesn't work, because I know there's people in the audience that are going to be saying like, but I've seen those businesses succeed. Yeah. Of course you have. That's a different type of entrepreneur than what you are. Like Melanie says this, don't take advice from somebody who has a wife if you are the wife. Right? Like, don't follow that business model and try and duplicate what that entrepreneur's doing if that's not the type of person that you are. Yeah. Right. That's why I love all of our mentors are heart-centric, impact-driven people. And if you notice, when I introduced them all, I had a very specific description of what they do, not just their service, but what matters to them and how they do it. Like, you can go to anybody, like, Chanel does the client fulfillment processes. There are tons of people out there who will help you build client fulfillment processes, but they're all going to come at it a little bit differently. She comes at it from set healthy boundaries because she's a heart-centric entrepreneur working with heart-centric entrepreneurs. Right. And we know that boundaries is going to be huge. So her entire system is refined into making sure that you actually can set healthy boundaries and train your clients into respecting them.
And I'm partnering with her to make sure we do it with not only that, the team and everything else, because I'm great at certain things, but not at building processes and systems.
I think an important lesson here too is that when you position yourself, you have to talk about what transition they're in, right? So I help female founders stop being strong, start being powerful, because there's definitely a moment in time where you look at yourself and you go, wow, this isn't the result that I wanted, right? Yeah, I'm making money, but I don't have time for my friends. I don't have time for my family. I'm not feeling fantastic. There's a reason why health and wealth are only different by one letter. Those are very, very important moments in time. So if you can capture the moment in time, right? So if you help people build processes so they can exit their business, that's a moment in time. That's a desire. You're speaking to exactly where they're at and what they're doing. And so anybody who's not in that moment in time goes, oh, okay, well, you're not for me. There's probably stuff I can learn, but I don't need to hire you.
Right. And it allows you to get better referrals, right? Like, after, even some of these mentors that like you guys knew, but I met them for the very first time when we were, seeing if they wanted to be a mentor at the Academy. After 30 minutes of talking to them, I was able to introduce them that way today. Yeah. because they're so specific on what they do and who they do it for, because they have done that work to niche down and to be that expert and to be in their lane and know what they do, I'm able to introduce them that way. So like when we talk about, most people get their business from word of mouth, making yourself more referable is incredibly important. And if somebody doesn't know what you're doing, they're like, well, I mean, they kind of sort of help with this thing. And I'm not exactly sure how you guys could work together, but I just feel like there's synergy. Let me introduce you. I hate those referrals. They're the worst. Right? Like,
or I hear from people all the time, people that are following me and they're in my free community, my 2 picks a day group. They're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to Reiki school. Okay, I mean, it's great to learn that skill. I like energy healing. I like all that. But what kind of business are you going to build afterwards? Who are you targeting? Who do you want to help? Who do you want in your community? How are you going to position yourself? And they're just like, I just want to help people. Okay, honey, you're not ready for me.
Yeah.
You got to be able to recognize that.
Most people, right? So most of us that work for entrepreneurs would say the same thing. Like in a lot of our services, we would say, I can't work for people who don't know who they are, don't know who they're trying to sell to, and aren't clear about what they sell and have a proven track record of selling it. Right. Yeah. That's it. But that's part of why the Academy exists, because we can.
Because we all get together at that, because they get there and I'm like, I can't help people,
Well, and I mean,
have you taken these courses at the Academy?
Once you take these courses,
yeah, like we've got a place for you to start. We've got a yellow brick road for you to follow, and we're here so that while you're following that yellow brick road and you come to a question and a little moment where you're like, I don't really know what to do, we can help you in those moments. But you got to figure all this shit out before anybody can super duper help you. That's why we created the yellow brick road.
Right. And I mean, think about that. So we're talking about it from the entrepreneur perspective. I can't help you if you don't have these things defined. But imagine right now if you're sitting here and you don't have those things defined, and you've tried hiring a marketing agency, you've tried hiring a business coach, you've tried hiring people who aren't really specialized at working with you, but they said yes because they believe in you and they want to help you, but they don't know how. They're used to working with people further along. You're not going to get the results that you're looking for. They can't, their systems, their processes, their expertise wasn't designed to help you figure that out.
Yeah.
It was designed to help you amplify it once you know.
And how
so even though they think they can reverse engineer and help you, and they might get you part of the way, that's not what they're designed for. So you're not going to get the best result.
I had a client hire a male business coach right before she worked with me, and he was neurotypical in every shape of every way you could think about it. And every time they'd meet, he just kept saying, well, you need to get more sales. You need to work on sales. And she's like, bro, I know that. She was working at a restaurant job and building up her marketing agency. Like, she knew what she wanted to do. She has great experience, great things to leverage. She knows what's up. But he just kept saying, well, you need to focus on sales. Didn't give her actionable strategies on how to do that. Didn't tell her how she needs to be living her life, how she needs to be raising her kids, how she needs to be communicating with her husband, how she needs to be communicating with her managers at that restaurant job, so that she has the energy to expend on her business and make the moves that are going to be impact driven, right? So you've really got to make sure that you're working with somebody who knows where you're at and knows how to get you where you want to go. The more specific you are, the more niche down, even though I hate that word because everybody freaking hates that word, but the more you figure out exactly who you help and what you help them do, the more money you make.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a process. It's a process. You go through that, and some would think you have to figure it out all at one time. It doesn't work that way. You're going to go out, you're going to do some, and you're going to be like, no, not this one. And then you're going to come back and you're like, not that one either. And then by the time you get it down, you're like, okay, this is who I help. But it's a discovery process, but it's also a self-discovery process.
Yeah.
You're learning yourself in the process of that. And we're not taught, and this is what, when I talk about flow state, most of the things I'm doing is helping people find out who they are, and really, because they don't know. Because we've not been taught to lean into our own. The only ways creators do it better is just because they're such rebels.
Well, they just refuse. Application of it.
They just
which I think like that was the part I was missing a lot. Like, I could sit here and do the mission, vision, value exercises and write them down, but they weren't being used. to make business decisions. That was the part that used to frustrate me, is I'm like, okay, look, I'll do the exercise. I did the exercise. Cool. But like, now what? Now what do you do with it? And Victoria is so amazingly good. And now that we have that, that means we're going to do this. Like, as soon as I gave that to her, she's like, oh, well, this is who we need as mentors. This is who we need as students. And you need to sit down and build the yellow brick road. She didn't know that it was the yellow brick road, but the way she communicated it, you need a yellow brick road. You need to know where you're trying to take them. And based on what you said, this kind of sounds like it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How did we, right? So all of that.
Got me on it though.
Well, easy. Everyone would do it.
But she didn't see the application. She didn't see why. And then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to be better at communicating that. But
yeah, once I saw how it was starting to be applied, like you were like, okay, well, let's take it and let's do this. Let's take it and let's do this. Like, why are we waiting to get mentors? Because it sounds like we need that now based on mission, vision, values. You want to be able to give people access to all the people that they need. Let's go ahead and get them. They'll come on in now. We don't have to be at 500 students before we can invite them in, like I thought in my mind, right? Like, yeah, right. See, their faces tell you everything.
What?
Right?
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I think, again, the lesson here is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Everybody would start a business and run a business and get these fantastic, fabulous results and make all this money and have all this freedom and time to do what they want to do. And it would just happen overnight. And then, the world would be a different place and there'd be rainbows and unicorns around every corner. But the thing is, if you're not willing to do the self-discovery and invest in yourself, it's going to be a lot harder to get where you want to go.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you come to the party and watch this girl in action. Yeah. Like, for people who don't know what the heck they want to do. Because they sit there and I'm sitting there like, how do you do that? Like, and I could tell when she's getting a flow and I'm like, okay, let me get my popcorn.
Yeah.
Because what's about to happen in that process. There's no way in this world I could do that. And not that I want to, but it's just, I'm always fascinated when I see people in their element. That is most, if people ask me why I do what I do, but I've always been fascinated with that since I was a child. I would look at people and I would see them doing stuff that I'm like, and all my life I've been fascinated just to see people in that state. And I think that's what most people really want to get to. They just don't know how to get there. They want to find their thing. Well, at least that was my thing. I'm like, well, if they got this, then what do I got?
Yeah.
And it took a long time to figure it out. And I'm still, because, even with Christina, she's always like, I don't think you realize just how much we struggle with this thing. Because to me, it's like, well, it's so easy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, can you imagine spending every day doing the things that are the easiest to you and only being challenged when you want to be?
And
how
fun.
Relaxing that is? Yeah. I mean, it's like you just get to spend all day
having fun option
with people. Yeah.
When you're in flow, it is.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's at the intersection of who you are. And I say this all the time. We see these glimmers. Like Victoria just said, I was always like that, even as a kid. Because as a kid, you were your most authentic self until the world wore you down and made you hide it.
Yeah.
Right. Like you ran around being exactly who you wanted to be until somebody told you that there was a reason that didn't work.
Yeah. Fuck those people.
For being it, or you're not going to do this and you're not doing that. The thing I like about creatives is a lot of times the creatives resist it more than most people.
Yeah.
They are like, no, I am not going
Especially after they've spent a few months with Melanie and they're like, I refuse to do anything that doesn't make me happy anymore. Right. And now you really start to get, that's part of why I like having her at the academy, is because it's like when you get somebody who is unapologetically seeking out joy and is like, I'm not going to do that because it doesn't make me happy. And like, will even push back at me. Right. And be like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, okay, heard. We'll adjust, right? Like let's make some switches to what we're recommending.
We all push back on each other, I think.
Well, I mean,
push back. I push back. No, push back.
It's very helpful. Victoria has this quiz that you take, and you figure out if you're a star or if you're this or you're that. Obviously, I'm the star. Christina's the creative. Victoria, what is yours?
Supporter.
The supporter. So Victoria is able to look at the big picture, whereas Christina creates a big picture that's like an eternity and nobody can see as much as she can see. Victoria can see like the big picture that's actionable and say, all right, well, Mel needs to do this. And I know if we give Mel this, she'll just run off and she'll do it. We don't have to even worry about her. She'll do this shit. Give it to her. And I go, okay, you're right. You guys go figure the rest of this out. Bye. Tell me what I need to know. And I'll go take action on this stuff. And she knows she's got to wrangle Christina's brain out of the what ifs and the negative possibilities and say, finish that statement with the positive possibilities. And then, know that you just got to tap on me every once in a while and be like, you good? Yes, I'm doing these things. You guys would be very proud of me. Here we go. But I can't be part of all the planning. If I'm part of all the planning, I don't want to carry it out because I feel like we already did it.
Yeah. Well, that's a part of mine too. It's like, once we've planned it out, we've already done it. Like in my head, I've already thought it all the way through. We've already, the fun part is done. The execution is the fun part.
I just need to know what the goal is, where we're trying to go, and I mean, by that time I can figure out who we need to put in and get it right. Then I'm like, please get out of my way and let me do what I need to do.
Yeah. And I'm like, please get me out of your way. Tap me in when you need me, but otherwise have fun. Like, I'll plan it. I don't want to execute it. Melanie will go talk to all the people we need to go talk to. Victoria will talk to all the people that get the stuff done and get it done. And it just happens.
It's like, for me, that's like, that's fun zone. But for those two, they would like kill me first.
Yeah. It's like, no, thank you. Melanie does a little bit better with execution if she can do it herself. It's like,
I like promotion. I really like to get people excited about something. You tell me what needs to get done. We'll get that shit done. And I will tell people, I like to build the boat while you're sailing it. That's what I like to do. I don't want to build it and then see if people want it. And I want to build it and tell you, hey, come join the boat. You can help me build it. It'll be fun. You're going to have the best time. I promise. We got the coolest crew. We got the coolest things. We know what we're doing here. Come on, let's do this. Right. I want to jazz everybody out.
Like, hit the reefs as we're sailing the boat and make sure that like we're actually getting.
We got somebody looking for them. It's okay. we got somebody on that.
Christina needs a whole fleet of boats.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll plan the boats. I'll tell you what 10 boats we could use, and like let you pick one, and then I'll tell you how to use that boat and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sailing it. I'm not getting people to man the boat.
You'll have 16 boats.
And I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here trying to do all that themselves and trying to do it with like 1,000 different products to 10 different types of customers at like 10 different stages of their business. Yeah. So I know, like, we just got a couple minutes left, and we had this last question that I think we haven't really hit at that much. Understanding the customer's journey, like why is this important for us to understand? Not just, I think a lot of times we're looking at marketing, we're looking at sales, because honestly, that's where most people struggle. Most people struggle with marketing and sales because they're selling things they don't want to be selling to people they don't want to be selling them to, and they secretly hope nobody buys. So marketing and sales is incredibly hard, but they're looking at one point in somebody's entire timeline. They're looking at one tiny blip of who this entire human is.
Yeah.
Everything they're trying to do and everywhere they've been and everywhere they're going. They're like, I'm just going to look right here and I'm going to pretend none of that other stuff exists. And I help them with this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And if we do that, I think we don't really understand our person. We don't understand what drove them to get to here in the first place. And we don't understand what's going to continue to drive them to where they're going. We don't understand the impact we're making, right? We're talking about impact-driven businesses. And if we don't understand where they came and where they're going, we don't understand how we had a role in helping bridge that gap. So that would be kind of my, like, why is it important to understand the customer's journey? What about you guys?
I'll say I got 2 comments. And I'm going to give you a marketing example because I just gave this example. Because the customer's journey is I think, about building relationships. And understanding that you're building a relationship with somebody, and the customer's journey is basically the process they go through before they make a buying decision and buy, right? So you need to understand your own behavior and their behavior. And when I talk about, like, there are some people who are going to be ready to buy now. They've already done the research. They come to it. They've gotten to this point. Now they're ready to buy. They've decided that they want to buy from you or somebody else. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
they're answering, who do I want to buy from, not do I want to buy.
Right. And then there's the other ones that they're at the point where they know they want it, but they're not sure who they want to buy from. So they're in that research. So most of the marketing is not, or quote unquote marketing. To me, that is marketing. It's not built to help them through that process of making an informed decision. Whether that decision, we do it, whether it's with you, we want to make them, we want to help them make an informed decision if we are the right fit for them and they are the right fit for us. So we have to craft that messaging for that. Now, one thing when people hire like marketing services, I was telling the prospect the other day, and I had already gone through the whole marketing journey, the customer journey. And I said, here's the thing. Sometimes you have really crappy marketers. They're bad. But sometimes you have good ones, but they only do one tiny piece of this process.
Yeah.
They run ads. They're good at running ads. But if you don't have the rest of the journey, the emails, the leads, and all of that stuff set up, you're going to be like, I didn't get any business, and they suck. And it's not that they suck. It's just that you didn't carry the rest of the relationship building process out. And if they don't do that, then you either need to figure it out yourself and hire them, or find somebody who can do the whole thing and work you. But that's why you need to understand the customer journey, because you can see, okay, well, how far do you take this journey? Do you only go step one? If you do, now you know that. If you do all steps, or your process is built to do all steps, then you understand that. And you can make an informed decision about who you're going to go with as, let's say, as an expert or someone.
I think you need to make it really clear to them too. Like, you got to have them in your world as much as possible, right? That's why I create a lot of content. That's why I go live a lot. That's why I have a 2 pics a day group chat on Instagram where I hop in there 3 times a day and say, show me your pics. And then I show you what I've taken that day, and I share my content. You share your content. But I'm infiltrating your existence as many times a day as possible to build that relationship from my expertise and my standpoint, right? If you don't want to be on my email list, you can leave. If you don't want to be in the 2 pics a day group, you can leave. But eventually you're going to get so comfortable with who I am, because I am radically, unapologetically myself at every moment in time. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to share what I'm going to share. And I'm not going to take it personally if that's not for you, but it's going to turn the people who are unsure about working with me, or unsure that they even need to work with somebody, into knowing that I am the solution to their problem. And then they're going to be there. I'm going to know them too. So I'm not going to have to make sure that they're right for my 6-month program, right? They're going to DM me and they're going to say, I really think I'm ready for it. I'm going to say, oh, really? Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on just right now? You can tell me all that. And I say, you know what? You're perfect for this program. Or you know what? You're perfect for my 6-week program. Let's get you in. Let's get it going. And it just makes the whole process so much easier. But you talk about it at the Academy as the content ecosystem. Where are you keeping people? How are you engaging with them? I'm really good at creating groups, and I'm really good at keeping them engaged. So as often as I can, if I can get you into a group of like-minded people that are also ambitious and focused on moving forward and focused on achieving their goals, then I'm going to get the best out of you.
Yeah. And vice versa too. Like you talked about making people comfortable, helping make sure they know you, but the opposite happens too. Some people get made uncomfortable. Some people decide the more they follow you that this isn't the right fit, and they unsubscribe and they move away. Right. And we want that. We want that. That's the goal. Right. Yeah. So like being polarizing. And the good thing I think for heart-centered entrepreneurs is if you've done the rest of the work, right? Yeah. You know who you are, you know what you sell, you know who you sell it to. You've done the work. We teach you at the Academy on the Yellow Brick Road, step by step by step by step by step by step. Once you've done that, you get to be heart-centric. You get to talk about what matters to you, and it connects, and it gets the results you're looking for. So marketing and sales actually becomes easier. Working with clients becomes easier. You're not dreading when a client messages you and says, hey, can we hop on a 15-minute call? You're like, hell yeah, I love chatting with you. Let's go.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh God, not again.
Speaking of which, aren't we supposed to be on campus right now?
Impact-driven business without burning out. Like, that's how you do it.
Yep. And Melanie is right. I do need to go head to campus to go run the co-working call. We Pomodoro together every Wednesday, and we help everybody get through the stuff that their brain has maybe got a little bit more friction towards, and they need a little bit more accountability. And we sit together for 90 minutes and we run 3 Pomodoros, and we work through that and get it done. So I'm going to head over to campus and do that. I hope to see everybody at the New Year's party tomorrow.
Register now before space is full.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, everybody sign up, come over there. We'll be doing it in So Work. You'll get to meet all these amazing mentors that we've been talking about. We'll help you plan for your new year in a way you probably never have before. to honor yourself, honor staying, sustainable, not burning out, making sure that these plans are actually going to work for you, tackling it from a mindset perspective and a tactical perspective, the whole 9 yards, right? So head over to neurospicyacademy.com/party. Join us for the New Year's planning party tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you all there. And I'm going to head off to campus. Bye, guys.